singular, plural, singular, plural, first person, second person, third person. Okay, so for third conjugation, what's the first person singular active ending? Oh. What's the second person singular active ending? What's the third person singular active ending? First person plural. Second person plural. Third person plural. Und. Now be careful. You see that UNT ending? That's present for third conjugation. Don't confuse it with a bunt ending. A bunt ending is a future ending for first conjugation or second conjugation, but UNT for third conjugation is active, present active. Now, how do I know what conjugation a verb belongs to? How can I tell? It's very important to know what conjugation a verb belongs to, because if you don't know, you won't know what kind of ending it has. You use the infinitive. Where do you get that infinitive?
Second principal part.
Second principal part, which you have in your memory. Well, let's say it's a verb you've never seen before, because just for kicks, I threw some verbs out that we've never learned. You look it up, and you look at its second principal part, which is the infinitive. If the infinitive is ARE, the second principal part, it's first conjugation. If it's ERE with a long E, it's second conjugation. If it's ERE with a short E, it'll be third conjugation. Okay, the passive singular. What's the passive singular? OR. Second person? Eris or ere?
Without the long mark?
Without the long mark, yes. And then itur, imor, imini, and untur. Oh, this was present. Okay, now let's do imperfect. Okay, imperfect, the nice thing about imperfect, doesn't matter what conjugation you're in, it has a vowel. Imperfect always has a vowel. So this will be ebam, ebas, ebat, ebamus, ebatus, and ebant. And then in the passive, ebar, ebaris or ebare, ebatur, ebamur, ebamini, and ebantur. So that's the imperfect, really nothing surprising there. The future is the hard one, because the future is different for third conjugation than it is for second and first. The future endings. What are the present active future endings?
A-M-E-S-E-T, E-M-U-S, E-T-I-S, I-N-T.
E-N-T.
E-N-T.
Okay, most of these endings look like another set of endings on the board. What other set of endings do these look like?
All of them. Looks like the second conjugation.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the second conjugation, present. That ENT ending, ENT, ETIS, ETIS, EMUS, EMUS. So when you look at a verb and say it ends in EMUS, how do you know if it's second conjugation present or third conjugation future? You have to know whether the verb itself is second conjugation or third conjugation, and the only way you know that is to have memorized it or to look up its second principal part. Okay, now the future passive, and then eris, or ere, atur, amor, amini, and intur. Okay, now let's do the imperative. Okay, imperative, we have singular and plural. the imperative singular,
Okay.
the letter E, and then the plural, ite.
Is it? Oh.
Ite, with an I.
Okay.
And then, so that's the active.
Wait, why is it IT?
It just is.
What?
It's same reason these are I's up here, because,
Romans like to be dumb.
Because I like to confuse us.
yes, that's mostly one.
Reggie.
Romans actually knew that later,
I didn't know.
like, thousands of years later, that we would say it, and it would be like, huh, no, we make it.
Oh yeah, that's what they were doing. Like those Americans will get the, they think they're so special having their own country that we don't even know about.
What form of the participle has the ing?
I don't know.
The
Is
ending,
that active
that,
future?
no, it's future passive, and it can be,
Deserving to be?
it can be, but it can also be depending on the form of communication.
That's photo op with Kenny.
It is.
Well, he's not the only person.
I think she's aggressive.
What do you like, 2 for 60?
Something like that. I used to drain in physics. I don't have it anymore.
Shoot it again.
Which Maggie's
One more
teacher
time.
says don't miss it.
You'll make it.
I don't know.
You say you'll miss, so you make it. Try.
Okay, all right. What's the passive imperative for third conjugation? Yes? Yes.
For the third conjugation, indicative, imperfect, what is the third, say?
E-B-A-T-U-R. Okay, so what is the singular passive imperative? Array. And many. Okay, again, we'll see this array showing up in different places. And then we have our infinitive. You got to pay attention here too, because the infinitive, the active infinitive is ERE with a short E. That's the only way that you can tell the difference between second conjugation and third conjugation. But the passive infinitive is just the letter I. And that's different too, because look, these others, you had ERI or ARI. But for third conjugation, it's just I.
For the imperatives, the passive, plural, and you don't change it to an I.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Thank you. That is an I. Okay, fourth conjugation. Fourth conjugation. So we'll start with indicative. Third IO, because I only have 10 minutes left, I'm not going to write today. I'll write it tomorrow. If people are interested in having it on their little summary sheets, it's going to be very similar to fourth. but
Just
not
add
identical.
9.
Yeah, we're gonna have we've added an I here and here and here and there,
Just make sure there's 9 in front of everything.
and these all have I's.
Wait.
Almost. You
First
don't do it to the infinitive, the imperatives, but most things you stick an I in there.
So
Yeah.
it's first singular, and then third plural, and then first singular, third plural, and all of imperatives. And imperfect, and then all of future.
Except for this one doesn't get an I. The second person singular, like I said, I don't like second person singular. It doesn't get an I.
Only passive, right?
Yeah, only in the passive. Okay, so then indicative, active, and passive. First, second, third. IO, is, it, whoops, imus, itus, and eont. And then in the passive, eor, And then iris, or ire, itor, imor, imini, and euntor. So that's the present. Imperfect, iebom, iebos, iebot, iebomus, iebotus, iebont. And then in the passive, iebar, iebarus, iebatur. Oh, this one should be iebarus or iebare. And then in the future, iebamur, iebamini, and iebantur. And that's our imperfect. Future, iam, ies, iet, iemus, ietus, and ient. And then in the passive, iar, ieris, iere.
That was you who I would count, and then you were like,
No, I was on my second person singular passive, which is my nemesis.
well, I thought you were hitting, hiccuping and looking back.
Yes.
That's not-
No close-ups.
Kenny,
I don't want to be
you
there.
want another
Go
one?
ahead.
No.
Okay, I was right. Okay. Eator, eamini, oops, eamor, eamini, and eantor. And that's future. And then we have our imperative. Singular and plural, active and passive. Our singular imperative is the letter I is the ending, and then the plural is ite. And then in the passive, it's ire and imini. And then our infinitive is ire, and the passive infinitive is ire. Okay, now the perfect, the pluperfect, and future perfect endings are the same for all conjugations. And we just did those, so we don't have those on here. The third IO is very similar to the third, just with an extra I in most forms. And all of these are endings that you should know. If you don't know these endings,
the camera can't even get you and everything in.
and this is only a part of it. I mean, there's still, we don't even have the subjunctive mood up there. We don't have the perfect tense. You just have to know them. And if you don't know them, and you don't do well in the tests, and you're wondering why, well, there's a big connection there. The same thing is true with noun endings. You just have to know them. And I'm sorry that there's so many, but I'm not in charge of that. They didn't ask me. There are a lot of patterns, and the trick is to overlearn them. Do y'all know what I mean by overlearn?
No, I'm so much you could like just
Learn so much.
after you memorize them, keep learning.
Sick of learning.
Because until you're really sick of learning it so that you know them not just for the test, you learn them so well that someone asks you a week after the test, you still know it. They ask you a month after the test, you still know it. You know how sometimes you've studied something, you've memorized something, and you know it you know, you had it in 7th grade and you still know it because you studied it that hard? I mean, or is that just me because I'm a nerd?
I never.
You know, okay. Well, but that's what you have to do here. Yes? You've done that? Yeah. And once you've done it, I promise Latin will become a whole lot easier.
And more fun.
And more fun. Okay, what your homework is going to be, we have done in drill 40 to 42, we've done parts A, B, and C, or what I'm going to ask you to do of those. Parts D and E are long, and so I'm not going to ask you to do every one in parts D and E. Let me look at how long they are. You can stop recording. And you're going to have to work. And that's, you know, it doesn't quite seem fair, but that is how it is. And so those of you who already had the endings memorized can probably get away with doing every every other odd. So 1, but then not 5, not 7, 9.
Still a lot.
It's still a lot, but
The biology is going to be good. I know. You know, so it's last year. That was she had mine and those.
Yeah, I did. I had found those right.
because
Theoretically,
this side of the board, we should already
Yeah,
know.
I know that's
theoretically.
She gave it.
But the problem was that worked for that test, but then as they got higher and higher up in Latin, they couldn't read the entire sentence because you have to be able to recognize it in the speech. And so,
Yeah, she stopped the poster thing
in your class, and y'all are much better now.
No.
Please see it.
I need to go to the office. I need to